Marietta College. $1,200 of your closest friends across 100 acres. This is home.
Coming up today on WCMO NewsCenter 15, lawmakers are trying to move NASA headquarters to Ohio.
And an Ohio politician wants to change the name of one of the Great Lakes.
All this and more is coming up on WCMO NewsCenter 15 starts now. Hello, and welcome to today's edition of WCMO NewsCenter 15. I'm Lee.
And I'm Savannah. Topping off our news today.
A bipartisan group from Ohio's congressional delegation, including Senator John Hust and Representative Jim Jordan, is calling on NASA's headquarters to relocate to the Buckeye State. On a March 11th letter, the delegation argued that it would enhance the effectiveness, efficiency, and fiscal responsibility of NASA. Additionally, the delegation argues that Ohio's rich aerospace heritage, lower operational cost, and central role in the nation's technology and defense senators would make Ohio the perfect new home. The lease on NASA's current headquarters expires in 2028.
Ohio Republican Governor candidate Vivek Ramaswamy has sparked conversation with a suggestion to rename the Lake Erie as Lake Ohio. During a campaign event in Toledo on Monday, Ramaswamy has also said during the event that he'd like to discuss the topic further, adding it would be like what President Donald Trump with Trump's new name for the Gulf of Mexico, the Gulf of America. However, Ramaswamy's press team released a statement Tuesday afternoon saying, quote, "This was just a joke and the audience understood it as such," end quote.
It's been an interesting week.
Let's see if it will get warmer throughout the weekend.
Landon is here with the current conditions. What's going on outside right now, Landon?
Well, Lee, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but we're going to be experiencing a bit of a colder weekend. But as of right now, we had some light rain earlier in the morning, and as a result, it feels like 45 outside. The UV index is at a low level of 2 with a fair air quality level of 22. And as a result of the aforementioned rain, we have a very, very, very low pollen count. Rain tends to wash that away. The wind will be running around 13 miles per hour to the west. The humidity is roughly 71%. And since this past weekend, we had daylight savings time. The sunrise and sunset times have now been pushed forward, have now been sprung forward an hour. So the sun rose earlier today about 7:30 and will be setting today about 8 after 7:30 tonight, this evening. Now, as I said, we had a relatively warm spring break this past week, and today is the first official day of spring. You can tell by the rain we had earlier this morning, but unfortunately, after a brief break tomorrow, we're going to be having a bit more rain coming up on this weekend, and that will lead to things cooling down. But what effect will that have for the first full week of spring going forward? I'll elaborate on that more when I return later on in the program for the 5-day forecast. But until then, back to you guys at the desk.
The Kanawha County Sheriff's Office is celebrating a historic promotion, naming its first female chief of detectives. Lieutenant Anna Pye was promoted to the position after serving the Sheriff's Office for 20 years. Her experience has included time as a patrol deputy and assignments within the Criminal Investigations Section. Pye will take on leadership of the Criminal Investigations Division in the Kanawha Bureau of Investigations.
West Virginia's Attorney General J.B. McKinney says that the state is launching an investigation against the NCAA after the West Virginia Mountaineers were left out of the men's basketball tournament. McKinney says that the team has had an incredible season, making the snuff difficult to understand. He added that the public deserves clarity about the decision, what metrics were used, and what the process for selecting the teams in the tournament is fair.
Coming up, Frontier is offering a free checked bag on certain flights.
And the Trump administration investigating law firms' DEI practices.
Stay with us. There's more WCMO NewsCenter 15 after the break.
At Marietta College, teamwork goes beyond athletics. At Marietta, we promote individuality, creativity, and resilience. Whoever you are, wherever you're from, we are Pile Nation. This is the time, this is the place. We are pioneers. We are Marietta College.
Hey, this is Kevin Love from the Cleveland Cavaliers. Right now, many of us feel anxious. Mindfulness can help you ease those feelings. My nonprofit is partnering with Headspace to offer free content to help you stress less. Head to kevinlovefund.org/headspace.
Here's to the straggly ones. The first ones. But hey, I look good with this ones. The black, brown, red, and gray ones. The itchy ones. The ones grown by Dad. The ones grown for Dad. The I nearly didn't do it this year ones, and the absolutely filthy ones. They all raise awareness, raise funds, start conversations, and save lives. Because whatever you grow will save a bro. Learn more at Movember.com.
Frontier Airlines is offering a free checked bag on certain flights this summer. In a statement released Tuesday, Frontier's CEO said this could be considered the ultimate, quote, divorce your old airline deal. Last week, Southwest announced an end to its longtime policy of 2 free checked bags. Frontier officials say customer response will help determine if its free service will become permanent. People who want to take advantage of the deal must book a trip by March 24th.
One of the men charged in the theft of the ruby slippers Judy Garland wore in The Wizard of Oz has died. Jerry Saltzman has been suffering from several health issues, including Parkinson's disease. Since the case was never resolved, a federal judge dismissed the charges against the 77-year-old. The other man who was charged in the matter pleaded guilty to theft of a major artwork in 2023. The legendary slippers were auctioned off last year for $23 million.
Many Americans are cutting back on snacks, but not for health-related reasons. According to market research firm NIQ, 42% of U.S. consumers say higher prices are causing them to buy less chips, crackers, and cakes. The findings from the 1,000-person survey reflect the fall in sales recently reported by the snack brands owned by Pepsi Company, J.M. Smucker, and Campbell. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reports snack prices have risen higher than most other grocery store products.
The Trump administration is investigating the hiring practices of at least 20 top law firms. Monday, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission said that it had sent letters to the firms asking they provide information about their diversity, equality, and inclusion-related employment practices. This comes after a Washington, D.C. law firm with the ties to the Democratic Party was targeted by an executive order President Donald Trump citing the law firm's DEI practices. Portion of Trump's executive order were halted last week. A federal judge said it was pursuing a personal vendetta through an unconstitutional use of taxpayer dollars and government resources.
When we return, we'll find out what's trending and some great news for Parkersburg on Real Talk with Haley Lanham.
Lady Gaga has the biggest week ever.
And how cold will it be this week? We'll have your 5-day forecast coming up right after the break. Stay tuned.
When kids need medical care, they face life-changing experiences. They miss out on the things that make being a kid fun. Starlight Children's Foundation programs entertain and inspire hospitalized kids. Learn more at starlight.org.
There's a place for everyone at Marietta College. Our place is here as esports competitors. This is Marietta College Esports.
And welcome back to WCMO NewsCenter 15. I wonder what's trending. Is it the season we've been waiting for? Haley Lanham has the details in today's Real Talk.
Thank you, and welcome back to another episode of Real Talk with Haley. Today we're going to switch it up a little bit and keep it more local because winter has loosened up and more sunnier and bright days are ahead. Today is the first day of spring. The first official day of the season represents the vernal equinox in the northern hemisphere. That's when the sun aligns with the Earth's equator. While some regions may still see a late season chill, the promise of blooming gardens, outdoor adventures, and patio season is finally here. You can celebrate the day with a picnic, a stroll through the park, or just crack open a window to enjoy some fresh air. And a city in the United States has made the top 10 list for the best food around the world. New Orleans came at the #1 spot. The global survey was released by Time Out, and more than 18,000 people participated. The Louisiana city is known for its diverse culinary blend of French, Spanish, Vietnamese, and African influences. New Orleans is also where you can get some of the best gumbo, jambalaya, and beignets. And bringing it more local here to the Mid-Ohio Valley, Parkersburg came in second. Taste of Parkersburg is a local food and wine festival that showcases local eateries, West Virginia wineries, and West Virginia beer distributors. Downtown PKB was contacted by USA Today's Best Food to let them know that they had been selected for the contest. Taste of Parkersburg made it to the top 10 and finished in second. Downtown PKB Executive Director Amanda Stevens says that to be chosen for the Reader's Choice Best Food Festivals in the Country contest was an honor. This year, Taste of Parkersburg will be May 17th from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. in Bicentennial Park. Congratulations, Downtown PKB. That's all for Keeping It Real with Haley. I'll see you real soon next Thursday.
That was great. Let's move on to entertainment news. Lady Gaga rules the Billboard charts thanks to her latest album, Mayhem.
And a sci-fi classic is getting a reboot.
Here's Landon with the Hollywood Minute.
Thanks again, Lee. Well, this is big news for Lady Gaga fans. She's back on top with her new album, entitled Mayhem. It debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200 with her biggest streaming week ever. It's the first time she's led that chart since her 2020 album, Chromatica. Fantastic dancing, too. In other words, do you love science fiction? If you do, here's some good news. Sony is re-enlisting in Starship Troopers, nearly 30 years after Paul Verhoeven's over-the-top military movie. Columbia Pictures has drafted District 9 and asylum filmmaker Neil Blomkamp to write and direct a new version. He'll reportedly draw on the Roberta Heinlein's original 1959 novel, as opposed to the 1997 adaptation. And finally, Beethoven is on the big screen in The Met in HD Fidelio. It scored at the specialty box office, grossing more than $860,000, playing just one night in about 800 theaters. Encore U.S. screenings are being planned, so if you missed the first night, you'll have another opportunity. Well, lame jokes aside, that's all we've got for Hollywood. I'm Landon Santini. See you guys in a few minutes for the 5-day forecast.
Thanks, Landon. Spring finally looks like it's arrived, at least for now.
I wonder what temperatures will look like next week.
Well, once again, Landon is here with the details. Landon, what can we expect from Mother Nature for the rest of this week?
Well, continuing on from the slight downpour of drizzle we had earlier this morning, you can see it's moving out of our area and into the tri-state area of Pennsylvania, of our neighboring states of Pennsylvania and West Virginia, concurrently with the downpour that's happening right now in southern Georgia and northern Florida. And of course, the people up in the area surrounding the fortunately not to be renamed Great Lakes are experiencing the last vestiges of winter temperature. Yep, as you can see, we had a bit of a tease of warm spring weather last week on the official last week of winter. And as you can see, the downpour we had earlier this morning is gradually moving out of Ohio into our neighboring states, although you can probably still see a bit of drizzle here and there outside. It'll likewise be totally gone by the end of the day. But moving on to the 5-day forecast, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to have a bit of a wet weekend. Well, first of all, tomorrow on Friday, we'll have a expected high of 54, cloudy conditions, so a little bit of a break from the rain, but then it'll pick back up again on Saturday with an expected high of 57. And continuing on more or less steadying out on Sunday with rainy conditions and an expected high of 58. And as a result of that rainy weekend, things will cool down a little bit as we get into the work week. First, stabilizing with partly cloudy conditions on Monday with an expected high of 58 and cooling off slightly into Tuesday as the rain comes back with an expected high of 55. So, unfortunately, even though this is the first day of spring, our first full week of spring, it's still going to kind of feel a bit like winter thanks to the rather heavy downpour we're going to be having this weekend. But, you know, we're only halfway through the month of March. So in the next few weeks, I think we can be hopeful that things will start picking up in terms of warmness. Well, that's all I've got for you in weather for this week. I'm Landon Santini. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Landon. And when we come back, Andrew will join us with an update from the world of sports.
See you in a few.
James Brown and Bill Cowher welcoming you back to the Midnight Snack Run.
This is one tricky obstacle course.
He's reaching, but he pushes it away. He's approaching a plate of iced cookies. He blows right by him.
Oh, the fridge.
Looks like he's headed for the soda. Wait, he jukes left, grabs the water bottle.
Now he's just got to get out of there.
Look what dropped from the sky.
Don't do it, Dennis. That's the way you execute a Midnight Snack Run.
Stand Up to Cancer and Rally want you to reduce your risk for cancer.
Go to takeahealthystand.org.
The next disaster is coming. The time to get ready is now. Make a plan. Choose meetup locations and keep a contact list. Build a kit with food and water. Don't forget your pets. Keep extra medicine on hand. Make copies of key documents and keep them somewhere safe. Stay informed, learn about local hazards, and sign up for alerts. Be ready. Learn more at americares.org/sendusin.
Thanks for staying with us. Joining us now for sports is Andrew.
Andrew, tell us about it.
The Marietta College softball team traveled to the Space Coast for the spring break and came home with a perfect 10-0 record. In their first game, Marietta defeated River University in a 9-0 victory, ending in the 6th inning due to the mercy rule. In Marietta's final game, they faced off against Monmouth, the Monmouth Fighting Scots, which came out to an early 6-2 lead. Monmouth held the lead until the 5th inning, until the Pioneers eventually scored 8 runs. The following inning, Marietta added 2 more runs to their tally and took a 12-6 lead, and that resulted in the victory for the Pioneers. In the baseball world, the Marietta College men's baseball team hosted their annual BSN Sports Invitational over spring break. Marietta picked up wins over Johnson and Wales, Ithaca College, and Case Western Reserve. However, Marietta had an issue in their final opponent, Spalding University. They played each other 2 times, and both victories resulted in a Pioneer loss. The first, a 14-2 loss, and the second, 17-1. This puts Marietta 9-6 overall on the year. Josh Berry scored his first Cup Series victory of his career with a win at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, the oldest team in the series. This marks the Wood brothers' 101st win in the Cup Series and their first win since 2017 at the Pocono. Berry was immediately picked up in the off season when he found himself in free agency due to Stewart's racing closure. Lastly, in March Madness, the round of 64 kicked off today with the first round matchups taking place. The first game is between number 9 Creighton and number 8 Louisville. That game is currently 28-22 in favor of the Blue Jays with about 7 left in the first quarter. Games previously in this week, you had Xavier playing Texas. The final game of the night is between Texas Tech and Wilmington, and UNC Wilmington. And then on Tuesday, North Carolina beat San Diego State for one of the number 11 seeds, while Alabama State won its 16th seed matchup against St. Francis on a last-minute layup. And then last night, the last first 4 games were between Mount St. Mary's defeating American, and Xavier defeating Texas to round out and claim the final 11 seed spot in the round of 64. That's all I have for you today. I'm Andrew Shashinsky. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Andrew. And back at the desk with us is Landon for a last look at the forecast.
Well, to briefly sum it up, after a brief break tomorrow, we're going to be having a rather wet weekend for both Saturday and Sunday.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. For all of us here at WCMO NewsCenter 15, Marietta College Broadcasting, thank you again for joining us. You can catch us Thursdays at noon 30 and 6:30 during most weeks of the semester, or you can search for WCMO Television on YouTube.com. See you next time. Have a great day.